What if the person everyone treated like trash turned out to be chosen by royalty? This is the story of a girl who had nothing. No parents. No home. No hope. But she had something the beautiful, rich girls didn't have. And when the prince saw it, everything changed. But before we get to that shocking moment, let me take you back to where it all began. Claire woke up before the sun every single morning. Not because she wanted to, but because if she didn't, her Aunt Rachel would pour cold water on her face and scream until the whole house shook. "You lazy, useless girl. Do you think we feed you for free?" Claire was 17 years old, but she looked older. Hunger does that. So does sadness. Her parents died when she was 9. A terrible accident. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone. Her Uncle Charles, her father's younger brother, took her in. But he didn't take her in with love. He took her in with a list of chores and a warning: "You will earn your place here, or you will sleep outside with the dogs." And his wife, Rachel? She smiled when Claire's parents were alive. But the moment they were buried, that smile disappeared. Now, Claire was nothing more than a servant. She fetched water from the river every morning, 2 heavy buckets balanced on her head. She scrubbed floors until her knees bled. She cooked meals she wasn't allowed to eat. She washed clothes for people who wouldn't even look her in the eye. And worst of all, she had to watch her 2 cousins Sophia and Jessica live like princesses while she lived like a ghost. Sophia was 21, tall, beautiful, and cruel. Jessica was 19, equally beautiful, equally mean. They wore expensive clothes. They went to parties. They painted their nails and laughed with their friends while Claire scrubbed the toilet. "Claire!" Sophia would shout from her bedroom. "Come rub my feet. They're sore from dancing." And Claire would come. Because if she didn't, Rachel would hit her point one morning. Jessica spilled juice on purpose right in front of Claire and smiled. "Oops," she said sweetly. "Clean it up." Claire knelt down with a rag, her hands shaking. But she didn't cry. Not anymore. She had learned that tears only made them laugh harder. Have you ever felt invisible? Like no matter what you did, no one cared? That was Claire's life. Every single day. But here's what no one knew yet. Sometimes the people who are ignored by everyone are the ones being watched by heaven. Then one day, everything shifted. News spread through the village like wildfire. The king is dead. King Edward, the ruler of the entire region, had passed away suddenly. And now, his only son had to come home. His name was James. Prince James had been studying abroad for years. He was educated, modern, kind, and he never wanted to be king. But duty doesn't ask what you want. It tells you what you must do, so James came home. And the first thing the palace elders told him was this: "You cannot be crowned king unless you choose a wife first. It is our tradition." James didn't argue. He simply nodded. But inside, he felt trapped. He didn't want to marry some random girl just because the elders said so. He wanted to marry someone real. Someone with a good heart. But where do you find that in a world full of people pretending to be perfect? One evening, James decided to visit the villages. He wanted to see his people, to understand their lives. His driver took him to Chief Charles's home, one of the most powerful men in the area. Charles was thrilled. He saw this as his golden opportunity. "Your Highness." Charles bowed so low his forehead almost touched the ground. "Please, come inside. Meet my family." Rachel practically shoved Sophia and Jessica forward. "These are my daughters, Your Highness," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Beautiful, educated, well-mannered. Sophia batted her eyelashes. Jessica giggled and twirled her hair. But James barely looked at them. Because at that exact moment, someone else walked past the window, a girl. Thin, dusty, carrying 2 buckets of water on her head. Her clothes were old and torn. Her feet were bare. But there was something about her face. She looked tired. But not defeated. Sad. But not broken. James found himself staring. "Who is that?" he asked. Charles's smile froze. Rachel's eyes went wide. "Oh, that." Charles laughed nervously. "That's nobody. Just a helper. My late brother's daughter. She helps around the house." "She lives here?" James asked. "Well, Yes, but, and you make her carry water while your daughters sit inside. The room went silent. Sophia and Jessica looked at each other, confused. Why was the prince asking about her? James didn't wait for an answer. He simply nodded politely, thanked Charles, and left. But his mind didn't leave. He stayed on that girl with the water buckets. That night, James couldn't sleep. He told his driver to take him out again. Not to any chief's house. Just out. To the village. To see life as it really was. They drove slowly past the river. And that's when James saw her again. Claire. She was kneeling by the water, washing clothes in the dark. Her hands moved quickly, even though she must have been exhausted. But then James noticed something. A woman pregnant, struggling, was trying to fill her own bucket nearby. She looked like she might collapse. And without hesitation, Claire stood up. She walked over. She took the woman's bucket and filled it for her. The woman tried to thank her, but Claire just smiled and waved her off. "It's okay," Claire said softly. "Go home and rest." James watched from the car, hidden in the shadows. His chest tightened. This girl, this nobody, according to her own family, had just given her last bit of energy to help a stranger. No cameras. No praise. No reward. Just kindness. And in that moment, James knew he had found her. But here's the problem. Claire had no idea a prince was watching her. She had no idea her life was about to change. And her uncle's family? They were already planning to destroy any chance she had of escaping. Because jealousy doesn't just hurt. It burns. And when Sophia and Jessica found out the prince was asking about Claire, they made sure she would never see him again. What did they do to her? And how did James find out the truth? If you want to know what happens when beauty meets cruelty and kindness meets power, then you need to stay until the end. And if you've ever been treated like you don't matter, subscribe right now. Because this story will remind you that your time is coming. The prince had seen something in Claire that no one else noticed. But her cousins were about to make sure he never saw her again. What happens when jealousy turns into rage? And how far will people go to destroy someone they fear? Let's continue. The next morning, something strange happened. Chief Charles received a message from the palace. Prince James requests to visit your home again this evening. Rachel's hands trembled as she read the note. Her mind raced. He's coming back, she whispered to Charles. This is it. This is our chance. He must have been impressed by Sophia. Sophia squealed with excitement. Mother, I told you. He couldn't take his eyes off me. Jessica pouted. What about me? I'm prettier than Sophia. Enough. Rachel snapped. Both of you will look perfect tonight. We will make sure the prince chooses one of you. But Charles looked worried. He remembered the way James had stared out the window. The way he asked about Claire. What about the girl? Charles muttered. Rachel's face darkened. What about her? The prince asked about her. What if he... Don't be ridiculous, Rachel hissed. Why would a prince want a dirty, uneducated orphan when he could have our beautiful daughters? It's impossible. But deep down, she felt a knot of fear in her stomach. Just in case, they needed to keep Claire far away tonight. That afternoon, Rachel found Claire sweeping the yard. You, Rachel said coldly. Come here. Claire looked up, confused. Yes, Auntie. The prince is visiting tonight. And you will not embarrass this family by showing your dirty face. Do you understand? Claire nodded quietly. I understand. I'll stay in the back. No. Rachel's eyes narrowed. You'll stay in the storage room. And you won't come out until I say so. Claire's heart sank. The storage room was tiny, dark, and airless. It smelled like old grain and rats. But Auntie, I haven't eaten since yesterday's slap. Rachel's hand struck Claire's cheek so hard she stumbled backward. You'll eat when I decide you deserve to eat. Rachel screamed. Now get in that room before I make you regret being born. Claire held her burning cheek. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. She walked to the storage room. The door slammed shut behind her. She heard the lock click. Darkness swallowed her. Have you ever been punished for something you didn't do? For simply existing? That's what Claire felt. Every single day. But what Rachel didn't know was this. Locking Claire away wouldn't stop what was already in motion. That evening, Prince James arrived exactly on time. Sophia wore a tight red dress. Jessica wore a shimmering gold gown. Both had makeup so thick they looked like paintings. "Your Highness." Rachel bowed deeply, pushing her daughters forward. "Welcome, welcome. Please sit. My daughters have prepared tea for you." James sat politely, but his eyes kept drifting toward the hallway, toward the back of the house. "Thank you," he said. "But actually, I came to speak with someone." Rachel froze. "Oh, who, Your Highness?" "The girl I saw yesterday, carrying water. Your niece." The room went completely silent. Sophia's smile cracked. Jessica's face turned red. Charles coughed nervously. "Ah, well, you see, Your Highness, she's not feeling well tonight." "Then I'll wait," James said calmly. "Wait." Rachel's voice pitched higher. "Your Highness, surely you don't want to waste your time on a servant girl when my daughters are right here." James stood up. His voice was still polite, but there was steel underneath. "I didn't ask for your opinion. I asked to see her." Charles and Rachel exchanged panicked looks. "She's resting," Charles stammered. "Perhaps another day." But James wasn't a fool. He saw the fear in their eyes, the lies on their tongues. "I see," James said quietly. He turned to leave. "Thank you for your time." Rachel exhaled in relief, but as James walked toward the door, he stopped. He turned back. "One more thing," James said. "If I find out you've hurt her, or hidden her from me, there will be consequences. Do you understand?" Charles's face went pale. James left, and the moment his car disappeared down the road, Rachel exploded. "This is her fault!" Rachel screamed, storming toward the storage room. "That cursed girl is trying to ruin us!" She unlocked the door and dragged Claire out by her hair. Claire gasped in pain. "Auntie, please, I didn't do anything." "You didn't do anything?" Sophia shrieked. "The prince came here for you. You tried to seduce him, didn't you?" "No," Claire cried. "I've never even spoken to him." Jessica slapped her. "Liar! You must have done something. Why else would he ask for you?" Claire fell to her knees, sobbing. "I don't know. I don't know." Rachel's voice dropped to something cold and dangerous. "Lock her back in that room," she said. "And don't give her water. Don't give her food. If the prince comes back, we'll tell him she ran away. We'll say she was a thief, a liar, anything." "But mother," Sophia whispered, "what if he finds out?" Rachel smiled cruelly. "He won't, because by the time he figures it out, she'll be too weak to speak." They shoved Claire back into the storage room. This time, they bolted the door from the outside. And this time, they left her in complete darkness. No food, no water, no hope. Claire curled up in the corner, trembling. She prayed. Not for revenge. Not for rescue. Just for the strength to survive one more day. Back at the palace, James couldn't sleep. Something was wrong. He felt it in his bones. Why were they so desperate to hide her? Why did they panic when he asked for her? The next morning, James called his most trusted guard, a man named Samuel. "I need you to watch Chief Charles's house," James said. "Don't let them see you. Just watch. And if you see the girl, the one I told you about, let me know immediately." Samuel nodded. "What if they've hurt her, Your Highness?" James's jaw tightened. "Then we act." 3 days passed. Claire grew weaker. Her lips cracked from thirst. Her stomach twisted in pain. But she refused to beg. She refused to cry out loud, because she knew it would only make them laugh. Meanwhile, outside, Jessica made a terrible mistake. She was gossiping with her friends at the market, showing off. "You should have seen it," Jessica bragged. "The prince came to our house twice. He was totally interested in me, but then he got confused and asked about our stupid cousin. Can you believe it?" Her friend gasped. "Wait, the orphan girl? The one you treat like a maid?" "Exactly." Jessica laughed. "But don't worry. My mother locked her up. She's not going anywhere." Her friend's eyes widened. "You locked her up? Just because the prince asked about her?" Jessica realized too late what she'd said. And that friend? She had a cousin who worked in the palace. As a cook by sunset, the rumor had reached Samuel's ears, and by midnight it reached Prince James. James didn't shout. He didn't rage, he simply called an emergency meeting with the palace elders the next morning. His mother, Queen Elizabeth, sat beside him. She was a wise woman, elegant and kind. She had been watching her son closely these past weeks. "My son," she said gently, "what is troubling you?" James looked at her. "Mother, what if the woman I want to marry isn't a chief's daughter? What if she's poor? What if people think she's nobody?" Queen Elizabeth smiled softly. "Then those people are fools. A queen is not made by gold, James. She's made by character." James felt a warmth spread through his chest. "Then I've made my decision," he said. The elders leaned forward. "I have chosen my bride," James announced. "Her name is Claire, and she lives in Chief Charles's household." The room erupted in whispers. One elder stood. "Your Highness, are you certain? We heard she is an orphan, a servant." "She is," James said firmly. "And she will be my queen." The elders looked at each other, but they could not argue. Tradition said the prince must choose, and he had chosen. "Send the royal guards," James commanded. "Bring her to the palace now." But when the guards arrived at Chief Charles's house, what they found in that locked storage room made them sick. And what happened to Charles, Rachel, Sophia, and Jessica after that? Let's just say, the tables were about to turn in a way no one expected. If you've ever wished the people who hurt you would finally face the truth, don't click away. Because justice is coming. And it's beautiful. Subscribe so you never miss a story where the underdog wins. The prince had chosen Claire. The guards were on their way. But what they were about to find in that locked room would shake the entire kingdom. This is where everything changes. Stay until the end because the ending will give you chills. Let's finish this. 6 royal guards arrived at Chief Charles's house just after dawn. They didn't knock politely. They pounded on the door like thunder. Charles stumbled out, half asleep, his eyes wide with panic. What is the meaning of this?" he stammered. The head guard stepped forward, his voice like iron. "By order of Prince James, we are here to escort Miss Claire to the palace. She has been chosen as the future queen." Rachel appeared behind Charles, her face pale as a ghost. "Q Queen," she whispered. "There must be some mistake." "There is no mistake," the guard said coldly. "Where is she?" Sophia and Jessica rushed downstairs, still in their nightgowns, eyes red from crying all night. "She's not here," Jessica blurted out. She ran away. Days ago." The guard's eyes narrowed. "Ran away? Or did you hide her?" Charles tried to smile, but his hands were shaking. "Your Honor, I assure you, we treated her well. If she left, it was her own choice." "Enough." The guard raised his hand. "Search the house. Every room. Every corner." Rachel grabbed his arm desperately. "Please, you don't understand, she's just a servant. The prince can't possibly want her." The guard pulled his arm away. "You will not speak about the future queen that way again." The guards spread out through the house. It didn't take long. One of them found the storage room. The bolted door. The rusty lock. He forced it open, and what he saw inside made his stomach turn. Claire was curled in the corner, barely conscious. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. Her skin was pale. Her breathing was shallow. She had been locked inside for 4 days without food or water. The guard knelt beside her, his voice gentle. "Miss Claire, can you hear me?" Claire's eyes fluttered open. She looked confused. Scared. "It's okay," the guard said softly. "Prince James sent us. You're safe now." Tears rolled down Claire's cheeks. She tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. The guard carefully lifted her into his arms. She weighed almost nothing as he carried her out of that dark room. The other guards stared in horror. And when they walked past Charles, Rachel, Sophia, and Jessica still standing in the hallway, frozen in fear, the head guard stopped. He looked at them with pure disgust. "You locked her in a storage room," he said quietly. "You starved her. You treated her like an animal. And you did it because you were jealous." Rachel's knees buckled. "Please, we didn't mean, save your excuses for the prince," the guard said. "You'll need them." Charles tried one last desperate lie. "She's lying. She's a thief. But before he could finish, another guard held up a half-empty water jug they'd found hidden in Sophia's room. "Funny," the guard said. "There's no water in the storage room. But your daughter had extra." Sophia burst into tears. The guards didn't say another word. They carried Claire out of that house and placed her gently into the royal carriage. And as the carriage rolled away, Rachel collapsed onto the ground, sobbing, because she knew their lives were over. When Claire opened her eyes again, she wasn't in darkness. She was lying in the softest bed she'd ever felt. Silk sheets, warm blankets, sunlight streaming through massive windows. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. "You're awake." Claire turned her head. A woman sat beside her bed. She was older, elegant, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Where am I?" Claire whispered. "You're in the palace," the woman said. "I'm Queen Elizabeth, Prince James's mother." Claire's eyes went wide. She tried to sit up, but her body was too weak. "Please rest," Queen Elizabeth said, pressing a hand gently to Claire's shoulder. "You've been through so much." Tears filled Claire's eyes. "I don't understand. Why am I here?" Queen Elizabeth smiled. "Because my son saw something in you that no one else did. And when he told me about you, about your kindness, your strength, your goodness, I knew he was right." Claire shook her head, crying. "But I'm nobody. I'm just an orphan. I have nothing." Queen Elizabeth took Claire's hand. "You have everything that matters. And that's why you're going to be our queen." Claire couldn't speak. She could only cry. But this time, they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of disbelief, of hope, of something she thought she'd never feel again: love. Later that day, when Claire was stronger, James came to see her. He stood in the doorway, nervous. She sat by the window, wrapped in a clean robe, her hair washed, her face glowing despite everything she'd been through. "Hi," James said softly. Claire stood quickly, bowing. "Your Highness, Please," James said, stepping closer. "Don't bow. You never have to bow to me." Claire looked up at him, confused. "But you're a prince. And you," James said gently, "are the woman I want to spend my life with." Claire's breath caught. James knelt in front of her. He took her hands in his. "I know this is fast," he said. "I know you barely know me. But I've watched you, Claire. I've seen your heart. And I've never met anyone like you." Claire's tears fell again. "Why me? There are so many beautiful girls." "They're not you," James said. "Beauty fades. But kindness, strength, a pure heart, that lasts forever." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. "Will you marry me?" James asked. "Will you be my queen?" Claire couldn't breathe, couldn't think, but her heart knew the answer. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." James slipped the ring onto her finger. And when he stood, he pulled her into his arms. She cried into his chest. And he held her like he'd never let go. Have you ever felt like your life was over, and then suddenly, everything changed? That's what Claire felt. In that moment, like she'd been drowning, and someone finally pulled her to the surface. Meanwhile, back in the village, Charles's world was collapsing. The palace elders stripped him of his title as chief. His lands were taken. His wealth was frozen. Rachel, Sophia, and Jessica were banned from attending any royal events. Their reputations were destroyed, and no one in the village would speak to them. No one would hire them. No one would even look at them. And worst of all, they had to watch from a distance as Claire, the girl they tortured, was crowned queen. 3 months later, the kingdom celebrated the most beautiful wedding anyone had ever seen. Claire wore a gown that shimmered like starlight. Her hair was braided with flowers. She looked like she'd been born to wear a crown. James stood at the altar, tears in his eyes as she walked toward him. When they said their vows, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. And when the priest said, "You may now kiss your bride," James whispered to her first, "Thank you for surviving. Thank you for staying kind. Thank you for being you." Then he kissed her, and the kingdom roared with joy. 6 months after the wedding, something unexpected happened. 3 women appeared at the palace gates. Thin, worn, humble. Rachel, Sophia, Jessica. The guards recognized them immediately. "You're not allowed here." "Please," Rachel begged, her voice broken. "We just want to apologize. We don't want anything. We need her to know we're sorry." The guards exchanged looks. Then one of them went inside. When Claire heard they were there, James expected her to refuse them. But instead, she said, "Let them in." James looked at her, surprised. "Claire, after everything they did to you?" Claire smiled sadly. "If I hold on to hate, I become like them. And I refuse to let them take my peace." So Rachel, Sophia, and Jessica were brought into the throne room. They fell to their knees before Claire, sobbing. "We're so sorry," Rachel cried. "We were cruel. We were jealous. We were wrong." Claire stood from her throne and walked toward them. They flinched, expecting anger. But instead, Claire knelt down and looked them in the eyes. "I forgive you," she said quietly. "But forgiveness doesn't mean I forget. It means I'm choosing to let go. And I hope you choose to be better." Rachel nodded, tears streaming. "We will. I swear it." Claire stood. "Then go. Live good lives. Treat people with kindness. And never let jealousy poison you again." The 3 women left, humbled and forever changed. James watched his wife with awe. "You're incredible," he whispered. Claire smiled. "I just remember what it feels like to be broken. And I refuse to break anyone else." Years passed. King James and Queen Claire ruled with wisdom, fairness, and love. They had children who grew up knowing kindness was more valuable than gold. And whenever someone asked Claire how she survived those terrible years, she always said the same thing: "I stayed kind. Even when the world was cruel. Because I knew that one day, my kindness would be rewarded." And it was. So if you're watching this and you've ever been treated like you don't matter, listen to me. Your time is coming. The people who ignore you today might bow to you tomorrow. The ones who mock you now might beg for your forgiveness later. Oh, don't lose your kindness. Don't lose your heart. Don't let cruelty turn you into something ugly. Because the world doesn't need more beautiful faces. It needs more beautiful souls. And if this story touched you, if it reminded you that goodness always wins stories in the end, then subscribe right now. Because we're going to keep telling stories that prove kindness is never wasted. What would you have done if you were Claire? Forgiven them? Or walked away? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know. And remember, the rejected stone always becomes the cornerstone. See you in the next.